What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. Shout out to everybody who support the platform, man. Much love. Salute to y'all. Salute to y'all this afternoon, man. What's going on? Shout out to everybody that's in the building. If you tuned in right now, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Smash that like button on the way in. Smash the like button on the way in. After you hit the like button, make sure you share the show. Hit the share button. Share the show on your community tab, anywhere that you share videos. Make sure you share this show. That is the first two ways you support this show. If you appreciate my content, you support this channel, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the share button. Those are your first two ways you support the show. After that, to financially support the show, you could go to CashApp $SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. That's CashApp $SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV, one word. $SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV, one word on Cash App to financially support the show. Or you can simply hit the $, in the chat box. You can leave your questions, your comments, and I will post them. All other donation links will be in the chat room. All other donation links will be in the chat room. So salute to everybody once again for tuning in. And shout out to y'all, man. This afternoon, we will be having episode 7 of Esoteric Red Pill Talk. Esoteric Red Pill Talk. Make sure you catch episodes 1 through 6.5 right here on SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. Make sure you catch all your episodes if you want to catch up on this series. If this is your first time tuned into this series, make sure you're going to catch up Just go to the playlist section, look for Esoteric Red Pill Talk. All the streams will be there. So salute to everybody who's been supporting this series that me and Kendra D got going, aka the Crimson Cure. Shout out to her. She also participates in this series. So shout out to her. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting so far. So today we're gonna do episode 7, where we're gonna get into the nature of domestic violence. The nature of domestic violence and its effects on everyone in the situation. You know, a lot of times, you know, a lot of times we think that domestic violence is something that is well, I'm gonna say if you grew up in a certain family, domestic violence is almost normal because the things that we saw going on, we began to write them off in our mind as normal because this is what we got used to seeing. This is what we got used to hearing. You know, I grew up cursing at a young age. You know, I can remember as far as back going to school cursing in the 3rd grade. I remember one time, um, I think it was my 3rd grade teacher, one of my she had wrote a letter home, you know, and just was telling my moms about my behavior and how I had a foul mouth because I basically, you know, cursed at the teacher or whatever. And you know, now I'm just thinking about it. I notice how me and my friends, you know, as far as back as 8, 9, cursing was like nothing to us. Like we'd just be outside chilling and cursing was just a part of our lexicon, you know? And now me being a grown man, I understand that that's dysfunctional. You're not supposed to be running around cursing like a sailor at 8, 9 years old. That's dysfunctional. That's that is a child who has been exposed to trauma. But as a child, you don't know because you just growing up and you know that's just what it is. And then when your friends are partaking in the same thing, you really it really becomes normal to you. You don't think nothing of it. And that's really what it was. You know, I grew up and my parents argued. Did they argue all the time? No, but they argued. And the arguments weren't good. You know, a lot of things, a lot of foul things were said. And I noticed even when me and my wife argue, we say a lot of foul shit to each other. You know, and it's not a healthy thing. It's not because what I realized, and this is what made me come up, and this is what made me come up with this topic because I started to think, what does domestic violence look like to a child? You know, because I've blocked so much things out of my mind that I can't I can't put myself back in those times to be able to say how I felt. I only could discuss the results of it. And the more and more that I do these um esoteric red pill talks, it actually opens me up to going back a little bit into things I suppressed as a child. And a lot of the behaviors that I exhibit also triggers those memories too. You know, this is why I tell brothers, you know, you have to be very aware of yourself. And I think I'm gonna do another show about it. I'm gonna just go ahead and do a whole nother um episode where brothers have to begin to address their own demons, man. You gotta address your own demons. You have to stop ignoring them first. You have to stop feeding them. You know, a lot of people feed their demons with things and they don't know. That's what makes them stronger. So I'm gonna do a whole separate episode about that. But I realized when I got into them arguments, being in relationships, and I would go back and think about some of the stuff that I was saying and some of the stuff that was said to me. I always be like, damn, that's crazy. And then when children come into play, you have to really become cognizant of the level that you go with these arguments, because what your children become is demon preceptors, because that's what I became. Because really, that is the essence of domestic violence. When you see domestic violence going on, or you hear domestic violence, that is nothing but a demonic visual. That is a visual of these people's demons. That is what domestic violence is. It is the visual, and I can't just say visual, but I'm speaking from the visual aspect. But it covers all senses, right? But from the visual aspect is where the children are affected the most, because they become preceptors of their parents' demons. They begin to get a glimpse of what's really what really lies within their parents. Because see, a lot of parents, especially the parents who make a good living for themselves, you know, they're good at paying to hide what's really going on. See, this is why a lot of, you know, if you I like to study serial killers. And One thing I notice about a lot of serial killers is they have a lot of um spiritual and emotional trauma. And when a lot of them were interviewed, a lot of them went through a lot of domestic abuse. They saw their mother be abused. They were abused. Um, or if their mother, wasn't beaten or anything, they just saw a lot of arguing. You know, it was a lot of mud slinging between their parents. You know, just a lot of chaos, not a lot of peace. You know, this is the demonic preceptor. This is the demonic visual that your children is left to perceive when your demons are being put on display in a domestic violence situation. Your children get to see and hear some of the things you may feel about their mother. Your children get to see and hear just how you feel about their dad. The one that you love, you claim you love the most. The one that you tell them is gonna protect them. But when y'all have y'all episodes, you say some of the most craziest things to him. You tell your sons never to disrespect their mother, to help their mother, to love their mother. But when y'all arguing, you say some of the most foulest shit to their mother. This is not a good thing. See, because I don't know, as I get older, I'm becoming like very, 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 very perceptive to a lot of things. Like, for instance, I have sons, right? But as I get older and as my sons get older, I realize when me and their mother is arguing, that's their mother I'm arguing with. That's their mother I'm saying foul shit to. Give me a second, y'all. I'm back. So I just be thinking like, you know, even though that's my wife, that's still their mother, you know? That's still their mother. And I know how my sons love me, that they're gonna defend me, you know? But I don't never want my sons to defend me and I'm wrong. You see? I don't I don't want my sons to defend me and I'm being unrighteous in a situation. I find myself as I get older, um, more willing to understand how a situation even got started in the beginning. You see? And let me address this. You know how you got a lot of women on here saying, oh, real men don't argue with women. Real men don't argue with women. For one, that's a shaming tactic. We're going to go ahead and get that out the way. That's a shaming tactic. It's not that real men don't argue with women. It's that you're supposed to be wise enough to know not to feed in to your woman's BS, because you know that women have to siphon through a lot of their bullshit because they lead with their emotions. Not their emotional only, but they lead with their emotions. So when she come to you on that type of time, as a man, you supposed to be able to see that and know how to navigate around that. But when you have demons surrounding situations like that, dealing with women, it's going to become a domestic violence situation. Or you may be the kind of man that know how to navigate around a situation, but you got a woman who wants you to press the situation. You know, you may have a woman that always wants smoke. Well, not smoke, but fire. You know, you got some women that that are so fiery, they want to know if you could put their fire out. But they want you, but they don't want you to put their fire out with a fire extinguisher. They want you to blow them up. They want you to make them explode, figuratively. And this is how domestic violent situations occur in the house. Because you might have a woman who love to antagonize. You may be the type of dude that just ignore it, but she like poking and poking. And you might be one of those guys, you know, that have a certain level of tolerance until it's too much. And then when the explosives come out, now everyone is hurt. See, this is something that people who have learned to suppress their trauma, they have to understand. In a domestic violence situation, if you're the one that's trying to avoid things for the most part, because you see it coming and you trying to sidestep it, but the demon just keep trying to penetrate you, trying to penetrate your spirit, man, trying to rile you up, trying to touch that, you know, trying to pop that lock. And then when you unleash, now everyone is affected in the situation. This is why some relationships are not they're not um they're not culpable. See, some people you could work with, some people you can't. And some people you could work with, but it just might not be that time. You might not have that time in your life to be able to work with that person, because you at a point in your life where it's either sink or swim, and you can't have nobody holding on to you, because then you got to keep two people up. So you gotta always understand where you at. You always gotta understand where you at in the game. What lane are you in? See, because everybody's not meant to receive your light. Shout out to Hill Zen. He said strong topic. Appreciate it, family. And this is what I realized, man. Every if you if you just a real dude, and I don't, real is rare, so I don't know what real is to a lot of y'all, but from my aspect, if you a real dude, when you deal with women, you're going to she's going to receive your light about things. But it's all about how much she can withstand. Because see, some women's vessels are saturated with demons to the point where the light wakes the demons up and it makes them go crazy. Like when you turn a light on, if you got roaches and they just start scattering. When you start speaking life into some of these women, man, they get crazy, because that's them demons acting up in their spirit. And you could be with a woman like this. This could be a woman that, this is why I tell you, we got to be careful, man, and have more discipline, and being careful on who we have children with, because you have to understand, when you put a child in a woman, that seed is your essence. Your light is in that seed. So you have to be careful on what vessels you fill with light, brothers. Shout out to my brother Ronan. He said, proud of you, bro. Keep teaching. Salute to you, bro. Appreciate it. You have to be careful, because this is why you could be going through a lot of domestic violence situations. And now your children is exposed to it. They're exposed to it because you made a wrong decision as a man. As a man, you made a wrong decision. And that speaks to our own demons, where we lose sight of who we are. We don't know who we are, because at some point trauma begins to work on autopilot. Like I said, even with myself, I can't take myself back to when I was a child and take myself back to how I felt. I could think of instances that happened, but not how I felt, because I've learned how to suppress how I actually felt. But I understand that how I felt about those things play out in my life. It plays out in my relationships. And you don't want your children to become the preceptors of these demons. Because if your child may be dealing with their own issues, your child may be growing up and maybe having their own feelings about themselves and don't understand why. They may not like themselves for some reason. They may not feel like they fit in, so they don't like themselves. But then when they see their mom putting their dad down, the guy that they look up to, and see some light in, and they see their mother constantly tearing them down and, you know, making him look like he not worth nothing, that can make the boy feel like, well, no wonder I feel like that about myself. I feel like a loser because my dad is a loser. And how do I know my dad is a loser? Because my mother say he a loser every day. So that might encourage that little boy to kill himself one day. Because he had to be exposed to domestic violence. He became a demonic preceptor. And he couldn't handle what he saw. Because then those visuals begin to speak to those feelings. And he wanted to do something about it. And he didn't want to feel that way no more. So he took his own life. Or that little girl who looked up to her dad and saw her dad as being the hero of the world. But because he stepped out on a marriage and the mother became so resentful and so hateful of him, she began to tell the daughters that, don't look up to him. He's a liar. He's not a hero. He's a villain. He hates us. Look what he did to me. He don't love you. If he loved you, he wouldn't have hurt me. And then that little girl one day take her life. Because now she see her mother's falling apart. Her mother's probably doing drugs now. Her mother's running around bringing a bunch of men around so she could feel accepted from a man. She got to wake her mother up from drug overdoses and calling the ambulance and all of that. While her father's off with another woman, living his life with a whole nother family. And one day that little girl kills herself because she didn't understand that her parents were suffering with demons and demons that they never addressed. It was actually something bigger than her. It was something that really didn't have nothing to do with her. It had something to do with two other individuals. And you just became the rest station for their problems. So whenever one was mad at the other, they'll come and talk to you bad about the other one. See, I know all too well about this because this happened to me. My dad, he would always tell me, I don't want to badmouth your mother. See, a lot of times in those situations, the men are the ones who are more cognizant in what they say to the children. See, we don't recognize what we say around the children, when we're in the midst of the argument, but we recognize we always pay attention to what we say directly to them. But see, as a man, you can't teach um you can't teach do as I say and not as I do. You got to teach do as I do, because that is how children actually perceive what you say. That's how children actually trust you. That's how a child actually develops trust for their parents, when their parents do the things that they say they do. Honesty. And see, in a lot of these domestic violence situations is when the raw honesty comes out about each other. But when y'all on the Disney World trips, when y'all going everywhere and everyone's smiling and having fun and taking family photos and sending home postcards and stuff, everybody thinks everything's okay. See? But the children always know the truth. See? Because the children are there when the arguments happen, the real arguments, not the ones that, you try to hide from your family, no, the real ones, you know. And we have to understand, man, that visual is extremely traumatic. The audio is extremely traumatic. That's why I always tell my sons, your dad is not perfect. Your dad is a work in process. I know it's going to be times where you don't like me. I know it might be times where you might be like, what is wrong with this dude? But understand that your parents are human too. I'm your dad, but that's just a title. I'm your father, but that's just a title. Being your dad is a job. And dads are not perfect, because you're always not going to do your job right. See? I explain that to my boys. This is why I allow them to this is why I allow them to mess up. Because you have to give a boy a room to grow. You have to give a male a room to grow and be a man. And even once you become a man, you still don't stop growing. See, brothers, you really have to get out of this gynocratic thinking of looking at a man because he's at a certain age and think, oh, well, you're a man, so you're not supposed to do this and you're not supposed to say that. That's female gynocratic thinking, because women don't know what it takes to be a man. So they think once you become a man and you show them that you're the man, that you're actually the man that they want, because that's all they can really speak on, because they don't know what it is to be a man. So when you hear that, oh, you a grown ass man. Okay, and what that mean? The reason why they say that is because they think that is the apex of your growth as a person, as an individual. That shows you that women don't understand what it is to be a man, because she thinks once you have solidified a great profession and you're married and you have a household and you have a optimal, life that everyone can see and, mooch off of and shit. Oh, you're a man. You're a great man. And then you just supposed to lay back and become a host for everyone to siphon off until you die. And then at your funeral, they could put on your goddamn tombstone, he was a great man. That's how you know women don't know what it is to be a man. Because they think it stops at a certain point. And it doesn't. Personal growth never stops until you stop growing personally. And that is a choice. So, brothers, stop getting up here. Say, oh, well, stop regurgitating stuff that you think sounds cool. Because just because you're 40 years old and you got a good job and you drive a Beamer, don't make you a man. And if you are a man, is that it? Is that all you want people to remember you of? The 40-year-old fly nigga that drive a Beamer? That's the end. That's the end all or be all to your existence. And if it is, salute to you. See? So as men, we have to lead by example. But when you leading by example, understand that sometimes your examples are not gonna always be good ones. And don't hold yourself emotionally hostage to it. My sons done saw me do some wild shit and saw me say some wild shit and heard me say some wild shit. They hear me up here. They see me when I travel. They know what I do. But I let them know what you just saw was your dad acting a goddamn fool. Because your dad is a foolish nigga. Now, is that something I want you to be? No. But do you have that foolish nigga in you? Yes, you do, son. And I want you to try to refrain from using that foolish nigga as much as you can. This is why I moved you out of New York City. So you don't have to be used to being a foolish nigga to navigate every day in your life. You can actually be normal. You can actually feel comfortable with being yourself and liking certain shit. Because you're not growing up in the jungle, but your parents grew up in the jungle. So we still have certain instincts and certain tendencies, you know, that that don't fit in a domestic terrain. So you might see me, I might want to knock somebody out in Food Line one day or something because they just doing something real silly, and not saying that's good, son. I'm not justifying this. But I'm letting you know whatever you're perceiving right now, I'm giving you some game so you can know how to assess it correctly. because no one was there for me to assess what I saw. And I was just left to perceive it the way I did and was left to deal with it. I'm not going to let you just deal with it. Now, is this something you should get used to seeing, son? No. And my sons are not used to seeing that. But did they ever grow up and not see it? I'd be a fool to say they ain't seen me act a fool. I'd be a fool to say they ain't never see me act a fool with their mama. I'd be a fool to say they ain't never see their mama act a goddamn fool. That's real spill, UFO. That's real spill. Becoming a grown man is the starting line of manhood, not the finish line. Real spill. That's real spill. But we have to understand, man, what domestic violence, the nature of domestic violence, what it is and where it comes from, and how it affects the people that's watching you. See, because a lot of times when we parents and we in the midst of, venting and getting our stresses off on each other, we not paying attention to who's in the audience. We're not paying attention to who's in the audience. And you know who's in the audience? You know who's in the back listening to the wall? Your children. And they become the demonic, they become the demon preceptors. And you and your girl so hard on demon time. You and wifey going in, y'all on demon time so much, you don't even see that, or you forget and lose sight that energy is never destroyed, it's only transferred. So those demons, you're transferring them to your children. You wonder why they got an anger problem. Because they think, hey, that's the way to be. That's the way dad is. Dad don't take no shit. So I ain't taking no shit. Dad, dad talk with his hands. He don't do too much explaining. That's why these boys grow up and can't have a conversation as a man. First thing they want to do is fight. First thing they want to do is pull out a weapon. That's demonic, man. That's demonic. And that comes from when you see these children like that, they're nothing but demon preceptors. They were the preceptors of demonic energy. And there was never no medium or a mediator to tell them. And this is why we have what we have today. This is why I say we have to heal before we build. You see? The black family structure has been destroyed because of the demonic energy that plagues the black man and black woman. So what do you think is going to plague our children? When you having demon sex, every time you got pregnant, it was because your baby father was drunk. What do you think you're giving birth to? You're giving birth to the demon that lies within that man, plus all of the demons that's within that liquor, that favorite liquor that he like to drink to bust your ass at night so you could come and go to sleep. All that's gonna come out in that child. And he or she may not come out chaotic. He may come out calm. She may come out calm and quiet. You know, like Emily Rose. So we gotta heal before we build, man. I'll be right back, y'all, and I'm gonna wrap this show up. Okay, I'm back, y'all. Salute to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to everybody that came through. But like I said, man, this is why it's very important that we gotta heal before we build. We gotta assess our demons, man. Gotta learn how to we gotta learn how to begin to speak demonese, fellas. Make sure y'all go check that episode out. Um, I forgot what episode that is, man, but make sure y'all go check that out, man. If we gonna deal with black women, man, you better learn how to speak demonese. But now I appreciate everybody for tuning in this afternoon. Much love to y'all. I will be back later on tonight with another show, and it's gonna be pertaining to this. So y'all stay tuned for that. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Salute to everybody who donated. I appreciate all the love and the support. I'm your host, DS1 Ross of Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, y'all, we gotta heal before we build. We gotta heal before we build. And this was episode 7 of Esoteric Red Pill Talk. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.